Superintendent of the Oxford School District. He did a great job of explaining who we are, or who I am this morning. I just want to go through with you today about how we go about improvement inside the Oxford School District. It's been an important process for us. We're going to talk about defining improvement, the way that we define improvement in OSD, and then how we go about cascading the scorecard system throughout our system for improvement. Here's a little bit about the Oxford School District in general. At the end of last year, we had about 4,700 students. At the beginning of this year, we have over 4,800 students. We're growing at about 3% a year. So our population is changing drastically in the Oxford School District. We are recognized as one of the best school districts in the state of Mississippi by a lot of different recognitions, from niche to the U.S. News and World Report. We're also an A district in Mississippi. But that also comes with a caveat I want to share with you as well. We're an A district in Mississippi, a high-performing district. But we also have one of the largest achievement gaps in the state of Mississippi as well. As a matter of fact, in 2017, we were recognized as the #1 school district in Mississippi. And our state newspaper, and the article on the left side said Oxford School District, #1 school district in the state of Mississippi. The same state newspaper across on the opposite page, Oxford School District, largest achievement gap in the state of Mississippi as well. We used hope for a strategy for a long time. We're in a university town. If you don't know where Oxford is, you may know where Ole Miss is if you know anything about SEC football, right? So we're in a university town, so we have some really good students and we have some really good teachers. But we also have some students that need us in a different capacity. So today I want to talk with you again about integrating improvement into the fabric of the Oxford School District. Why is it necessary? Because we had some students that we were not serving and serving well in the Oxford School District. So we had to change our practices in the way that we went about things in our system. I was first introduced to continuous improvement in 2017 at the Carnegie Summit in San Diego, California. The first person I ever heard present about continuous improvement is someone that you will probably know well. It was Dr. Pat Greco. It was her last year as superintendent at Menominee Falls in Wisconsin. I knew after hearing her speak that day at the Carnegie Summit in 2017 that continuous improvement would be a part of the model of the work if I were ever to be a superintendent in any district across our country. I've been in improvement work with Carnegie since then, with partnerships with other LEAs or local school districts and IHLs across the country, with a platform called iLead that the Carnegie Institute started back in 2017 as well. So even though I've been ingrained in this improvement work for so long, and understanding the principles of improvement science, writing aim statements, conducting PDSA cycles, all of the lingo that goes with improvement work, that work felt so haphazard to me. It felt so disjointed in the way that we were going about the work, even though we were doing some of the improvement cycle stuff inside the Oxford School District. It was the partnership with Studer Education and what I'm sharing with you today around scorecard and action plan implementation that took that work that I learned about continuous improvement from Carnegie and brought it together. Brought it together in a systematic, intentional way that would lead to improvement across systems. In the Oxford School District, this is the definition of improvement that we have come together to create based on our work. Improvement starts with the truth, followed by trust, and then by discipline. And I'm going to give you just a short, brief overview to provide context about what I mean when I say truth plus trust plus discipline before we get into the crux of our work today, which is talking about the scorecard cascading down throughout our system. The truth. Listen, friends. If we are truly seeking improvement across our systems, we have to face the hard truths. We can't hide behind them. We have to face the hard truths. I led today by telling you that we had one of the largest achievement gaps in the state of Mississippi. That's a hard truth that we have to face. So that's step one in your improvement journey, is facing the hard truths that are happening in your system. And here are some for us. The first hard truth is our demographic is changing since we were the number one school district in the state of Mississippi, which again was in 2016-17. Our special education population has grown 51% since 2017, whereas we've seen about a 10 to 12% increase in our student population. Bottom line, we have more students in our system that need more services in order to be successful. It's a hard truth we needed to face. There's another hard truth we had to face. If you look in the Oxford School District right now, out of 4,800 students, 1,157 of them are receiving some tier services in some capacity, whether it's reading, math, or both. You put the special education population that I just mentioned of 672 on top of that, that means about 40% of the students in the Oxford School District need some kind of extra support in order to be successful. When we were the number one school district in the state of Mississippi, you know what our strategy was? It was hope. Because it could be. Because we had such high functioning students in our district. Hope can't be our strategy anymore, friends. Or we will not seek or see improvement across our system. And the third hard truth, COVID impacted us greatly. I'm not sharing something with you that you probably didn't feel yourself. But we saw proficiency rates drop 10 to 15% in some areas across our system. So how are we going to improve our systems to get back to being not just a quality district, but excelling, right? Making that commitment for excellence, one of the 9 P's that we've talked about a good bit. And then the second word in the improvement definition I gave you was trust. Friends, we are not going to improve a system unless trust is embedded from the families in our community to the students in our classroom to the teachers in our classroom all the way up to the superintendent and the board. It is a necessary component of improvement. You can't have facing the hard truths and a disciplined approach without trust and expect to get better. Now, part of this trust comes from the work that we're going to be talking about today in building trust, right? This work of cascading the scorecards here in just a few minutes, it does create trust throughout the system. But as the leader, if you're a superintendent in this room, as a leader, it is up to us to inherently build trust with all of the people across our systems. And what is one way to do that? People love vulnerability and you telling and facing the hard truths. If you schmooze your people all of the time with all of the great things you do across your system and you never face the hard truths with them, they know that's not reality. People like it when you're real with them. It builds trust. So I would encourage you to do that. So we've talked about the hard truths. We've talked about the trust. But this is where I want to spend the majority of my time today. I have to always show this is my second and third grade principal. This is her shirt that she wore on the last day of school last year and posted on our social media. You can tell she's a character. Quite a character. But today I want to spend the majority of our time talking about discipline. Improvement is facing the hard truths, building trust within your system, and then having a disciplined approach. John Collins, if you read a lot of his work, he says it this way. For organizations that show sustained improvement, there is no miracle moment. There's no miracle moment. It's all about having a pragmatic, humbled, down-to-earth, frameworked approach to getting better. And that frameworked approach keeps everybody within your system within the rails for the long haul. So this idea in education to where we've chased all of these programs and all of these things for so long, these accelerators, to get this instant gratification of student improvement, we may hit that moment every once in a while, but it's not sustainable across our systems, right? And we've done that for so long. And it's time we put a better system in place to improve. So what is this discipline I'm talking about? Deming is another quote that comes to mind when I look at this slide. Deming says that if you have an organization of 500 employees, they make about 4 million decisions a day. And success is the sum of those 4 million decisions. Think about the alignment that you have with inside of your organization. The decisions from the superintendent all the way down to the classroom teacher, to the students in the room and the families at home. How aligned are those decisions in helping you achieve what's in that strategic plan that was adopted by your board? The first question I would ask is, how many of the families and the teachers and the students and those involved in your system even know what the strategic plan is? Step one. Hard to align leaders across your system if they do not even understand the goals and the vision and mission of the organization. So this is what we all strive: high impact, high scale, alignment across our systems. I shared with you a few minutes ago in the Oxford School District, when hope was our strategy, there was no alignment. There was no alignment. We were as decentralized of a system as you could possibly be. And I will tell you, as a third-year superintendent, now moving that pendulum from decentralized to centralized or more centralized is not a fun task. It's not a fun task, but it's a necessary task if we're going to continue to improve. So where does this disciplined approach start? It starts with just what I said, the 9 principles of organizational excellence, and I'm sure you're all familiar with. It starts with strategic priorities and goals. In the Oxford, let me say this, it starts with a strategic plan, right? I'm sure all of our districts have a strategic plan. But if we stop at the strategic plan, I can assure you we will not get to the level of improvement that we're seeking inside of our systems. Another way that I like to describe this graphic is this: the altitude framework. The strategic plan is the 30,000-foot view, right? It's the why. It's the why your organization exists. Shows the vision for your system. The priorities, or the 14,000-foot view, is the what. That's the scorecards that we're going to dive into here in just a few minutes, right? And then you get to the 3-foot view, and that's the how. Those are the action plans. Those are the things that are taking place inside of professional learning communities, inside of teacher classrooms in your building, that are helping you to achieve the goals that were initially established on that strategic plan. See, our fault in our systems is we stop at the 30,000-foot view and we expect this miracle moment. And the miracle moment's not coming, friends, I'm telling you, unless we continue to do the work. I love this graphic. I'll give you a second to read it. Totally nailing them. Totally nailing them, right? Totally nailing them. But how many of our systems operate in this way? I can tell you, if you stop at your strategic plan in your organization, this is how your system is operating. This is the importance of cascading scorecards and action plans the rest of the way through your system. I want to share this quote with you. I want to make sure that that I get it right. In a book by the title of Atomic Habits. Anybody read Atomic Habits? It is a great book. I would suggest you read it if you didn't. He says this: you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So friends, establishing goals throughout your system is not good enough. What he's saying is, until we get down to the concrete level of making sure that actions are being implemented in our systems to help us achieve those goals, then we're not going to reach the promised land of improvement. So we can't just say, man, we have these goals, we have these goals. These goals are great, but without the action put in place to help achieve the goals, we're literally just spinning our wheels. Before I get into our scorecards in the Oxford School District, I love this saying about improvement work. You may have heard this before. Possibly wrong, definitely incomplete. The Oxford School District scorecard process and action plan process is possibly wrong, definitely incomplete. That is an improvement mindset. If anyone in this room or anyone in your organization feels like they have arrived, you probably want to move them on somewhere else, because you never arrive in improvement work. You never arrive, right? Everything is possibly wrong, definitely incomplete, which pushes me to get better, which pushes our organization to get better. So I always like giving that disclaimer before I show some of the work in the Oxford School District. These are our big aims in the Oxford School District, our vision, mission, and core values, along with our big aims. I'm not going to spend a lot of time there, but I just wanted you to know that we do have them. These are our goals. Again, this is the 30,000-foot view in the Oxford School District and part of our strategic plan. Increase college, career, and life readiness, improve the culture of learning and engagement for all students, improve the development and engagement of all staff, build and sustain safe, effective, and efficient operations, and engage our parents and community in our progress. Those sound excellent, right? This is the 30,000-foot view, things to strive for across our system. But now let's get into the crux of this disciplined process that helps lead to improvement. You have a copy of our district scorecard on your table. In case you can't read this, we're going to move quickly through this because I only have 26 minutes and 7 seconds left because this is such important work. So let me give you some attributes of our scorecard here. You can see that we have our pillars outlined on our scorecard. We have 5 pillars in the Oxford School District that align to our strategic plan. The page that I've taken here in this graphic, you can see that these are all part of our learning pillars. If my friend and Studer coach Tim Rosnick were here, he would say, Bradley, you have 20 goals. That's too many, right? He would tell me that, and I would agree with him. But remember what I said, possibly wrong, definitely incomplete. We had more than that when we started, okay, this process 2 years ago. So we are trimming these down. But I did learn at another presentation this morning that if you combine your ELA and your math into one goal, instead of having separate like I do, I can trim the number down, right? I don't think that's what Studer intended, but it seemed like a great strategy this morning when I saw another superintendent friend combine his math and ELA goal. So I got you, Tim, the next time I see you. Our learning pillar makes up about 60% of our school scorecard, or our district scorecard. And then about 40% of our district scorecard, which is what's highlighted in yellow, is directly related to our Mississippi accountability model, how we are rated as schools across our system. Notice I have scales on our scorecard. I've seen some scorecards with scales and I've seen some without. I would encourage you to have scales on your scorecard because you want the opportunity to celebrate the small wins in your system. There may be goals that you do not obtain, but you show improvement. And if you show improvement, you want to be able to celebrate that small win. So I would strongly encourage you to put scales on your scorecard. And notice I do not have action items on my scorecard. Action items start at the school level, and then when we start talking about action plans with our PLCs and our teacher action plans. So I started on the altitude framework at the 30,000-foot view, and now we're at the 14,000-foot view. 30,000-foot view is the strategic plan. The 14,000-foot view is now when we talk about establishing our district and our school level scorecards. Notice on the scorecard I do have all 5 pillars from our strategic plan. Now here's a mistake that we made, or I made as the superintendent the first year that we developed our scorecard. It's this idea of macro versus micro. On my district level scorecard in 23, you can see I had under our service pillar 2 metrics. One dealt with the number or how quickly we turn around technology tickets in our operations department, and another one dealt around how quickly we turned around work orders inside of our systems. Friends, those are great metrics, but those are metrics that should be on a departmental level scorecard, not a district level scorecard. Remember, this is me paring down the number of goals that I had on my district level scorecard to begin with. So what did I do in 2024? I utilized our district support services survey. And now the goal says central office departments will have an overall mean of 4.20 on the district support services survey. If all 5 departments that we have in the district meet that, it's a score of 5, and you can see down the system. Because that district support survey says what? It says that we are servicing our schools the way that we should be servicing our schools. I believe Matt this morning, he called it a domino metric, right? This is a domino metric. If we're doing well on our DSS survey, that is impacting the services that we are giving our schools in a lot of different ways, right? So again, think macro when you think of your district level scorecard, and as you move through this cascading of the system, you will see that we become more micro in what we're measuring and how we're acting with our action plans. So if you looked at that district scorecard, one of the goals, I believe it's on that page. One of the goals on the second page is pre-K readiness and K readiness. I'm going to track that goal for you throughout the scorecard process in the Oxford School District. So you see the goal on the district scorecard was K readiness. This is the school level scorecard from our Oxford Early Childhood Center, which is our pre-K school. As you can see, this scorecard looks very similar to the other one, with the exception of you see action items that are there, and you also see that we have a stoplight report at the end. I want you to pay close attention, and you have this handout as well. I want you to pay close attention to the establishment or how she established this goal as the leader. This is a high leverage goal. So when you're establishing goals on your district and school level scorecard, think high leverage. How is this high leverage? If we think about across our accountability systems a lot of time, it's about proficiency, right? The goal that she established was to increase every student, regardless of where they entered, 100 scale score points, because research says that should take place in a 4-year-old's reading ability, okay? So she has a goal here that's high leverage that impacts the students that come in already reading above grade level or K ready, and the ones that are well below. But every student is impacted by the goal that she's established. And you can see that she has action items to meet all different areas of students or different types of students that are in the pre-K program. To the far right, the stoplight report. We use the stoplight report in the Oxford School District in a plethora of ways. One of those ways is on our scorecard. This stoplight report is there because every 45 days, I meet with every principal and we go over their scorecard and we utilize the stoplight report to talk about the goals, where they are on those goals, if they've seen any small wins, and more importantly, how are we doing with the actions, right? Are those actions being implemented with fidelity inside of classrooms, inside of your schools? Because let me tell you, friends, how many times have we thrown an action out that we couldn't even validate that it was really taking place with fidelity? It could have been something that could have changed our systems, yet we did not validate the action to know if it was being effective or not. That's what part of this is. So this red light, green light, stoplight report is between me and the principals. This is, again, just some of the things about the school level scorecards. You see now there's 6 to 8 goals on our school level scorecards. One goal for every school level scorecard is around our parent satisfaction survey, our student engagement survey, and our employee engagement survey. Those are all culture related and fall under our culture pillar in our strategic plan. Yes? We do those in October and we do those in April. We do them twice a year.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't
She
have
was
the mic
asking
ready.
how often do we administer the parent satisfaction, employee engagement, and student satisfaction survey. And it's in October and April. And I will give a timeline of our whole improvement cycle here in just a few minutes as well. So now let's cascade this down to another level. You've got the district level scorecard. We've got the school level scorecard around this goal around K readiness. And now we're talking about the development of PLC action plans. Notice the language has shifted from scorecard to actions. Now we're at the 3-foot view on the altitude framework. We've gone from the 30,000-foot view to the 14,000-foot view to the 3,000-foot view of how we're going to improve inside of our systems. What you notice when you look at this, first of all, is that the goal is the same goal that's on the school level scorecard. But you also notice the action steps. There were 3 action steps that are listed on the school scorecard related to this goal. But how many actions do you see in this PLC action plan? You only see 1 action. Okay, you only see 1 action. The way that our teachers are divided into PLCs in our pre-K, we have 3 teams of 4 teachers. Okay? This one particular PLC team of 4 teachers chose this action out of the 3 to be laser-like focused on this school year. It's not that they're not instituting the other actions, the other 2 actions that were on the page. Okay? But they chose this particular action to collect the data, to refine the protocol, because there's a protocol for this action, right? To refine the protocol, to collect the data. So they are laser-like focused on this action and this action alone. What do you think the other 2 PLCs are doing? They're doing those other 2 actions. One's choosing one, and the third team is choosing the other. Let me tell you what we learned the first year we did this. There's a thing called action fatigue. The first year we did this, we had everybody trying to institute every action. At the end of the day, the teachers' hairs were standing on top of their head. They were burnt out and could not move forward. They didn't know where they were going or coming, right? So we learned quickly that the way to go about this work is you test actions in short cycles. That's continuous improvement, right? And then you scale the ones that are effective. Or you get rid of the ones that are not. You'll hear me say this later in the presentation. And this is not how we think, superintendents. It's not, but we have to go slow to go far. We have to go slow to go far. Okay? We want to push the pedal all the way down and speed through it. And improvement work doesn't work that way. Okay? It doesn't work that way. And then you see some other things that are added on our PLC action plans at the bottom. Again, there are fewer goals on the action plans than there are on the district scorecard, obviously, around the 6 to 8 mark there again. The learning pillar makes up about 50 to 60% of our action plans. You see action items, and now you also see a stoplight report on the action plans. This stoplight report is the meeting in between the principal and this particular 4-teacher PLC. So she has a meeting every 45 days, and what is she asking? Are we implementing this action with fidelity? What can you tell me about the protocol that's related to this action? Okay? What's working? You see rounding questions on there. What's working? What's not working? And then we have to prioritize our work. What do we need to do now? What do we need to do later? And then what do we need to do next? This happens every 45 days. So let me take you back. Who meets with the principal about the scorecard every 45 days? The superintendent does. Who meets with the teacher or the PLCs every 45 days about the action plans? The principal does. Right? The principal does. And this actually takes on one more cascading step, and that's to the teacher action plans. Every teacher in the Oxford School District has a specific action plan that is related to the PLC action plan, which is related to the school scorecard, which supports what? The district scorecard, which supports what? The strategic plan inside of our system. This is a teacher action plan. You can see, again, some of the characteristics of our teacher action plans, and again, you have all of these handouts with you. This teacher action plan, the principal also meets with each teacher every 45 days in a rounding platform to discuss their teacher action plans. You heard me say this earlier. Validation is key. We cannot throw an action item out and say it's ineffective unless we can validate it's actually happening inside of the classrooms. And you can see all of the actions that are on this teacher action plan are related to the goals that are on the scorecard. Whether it's a learning goal under our learning pillar, or whether it's one of our cultural goals with parent satisfaction, engagement of our students, or engagement of our employees. Now, this could look overwhelming, but I want you to understand, a lot of these actions that are here, some of these actions are school-wide. Let me move to the next slide. Some of these actions are school-wide, meaning every teacher in the building are doing them. Okay? Some of them are teacher-specific actions that are being tested on short cycles. And then I've already mentioned we have to avoid action overload. The things that are school-wide, y'all, those are just best practice. Those are just best practice, and we're wanting to collect data on school-wide to see if they're being as efficient and effective as we want them to be. The ones that are teacher-specific are the ones that we are testing on short cycles to see if we're getting the results that we want to get. Those are the ones that if they're working and working effectively, guess what we're going to do next semester? We're going to scale that action to another group of teachers. We're going to test it on another short cycle and see if it's working. And if it works in both of those, guess what we're going to do third quarter? We're going to scale that action to all of the teachers in the building. And then we may take that action to another school if it works effectively across our pre-K. Real quick, I want to share this with you because I think it cascades this in a little different way, and it makes you think of the questions a little differently. I just did reading. I'm a math guy at heart, right? So I always have to give a math example. So as you're digesting from the strategic plan to the teacher action plan, let's walk through one specific math goal quickly to get you there. So this could be a math goal. Increase the percentage of students that score proficiency on the math assessment to 65% by May of 2024. Maybe that's a goal on the district scorecard. So the first question is, who's responsible for that goal? That's a high leverage question you need to be asking inside of your system. Well, every school is responsible for that goal. The curriculum department is responsible for that goal. The student services department, which is the special education department, as well as the tiered services, are also responsible for that goal. Make sure that you know who's responsible for the goal. Otherwise, you're losing a leverage point in your system to improve. So let's take that goal and move it to the school level. Increase the percentage of students who score proficient in mathematics to 75% by May of 2024. But you're saying, wait, the district goal was 65%, but the school goal is 75%. Why is that? Yeah, the higher baseline. My third and fourth grade school may have a higher baseline than my sixth grade school, right? So that baseline, if the baseline changes for that particular school, then so should the goal to help you achieve the district goal. But then again, I ask you, who's responsible for the goal inside of that particular school? It's not just the math teachers. And if you're only leveraging the goal with the math teachers, you're missing a point. It should be the special area teachers. It should be the math teachers. It should be the special education teachers. It should be the interventionists, right? Leverage that goal with all of those that are responsible. So every one of those groups I just mentioned should be instituting some type of action inside of your system to help meet that goal. Don't miss that leverage point. Moving it down again, district, school level scorecard, now we're at PLC action plans, right? So this particular goal here, let's say this is our third grade, you see that the goal didn't change because the school goals is going to be the same as what's inside the PLC. Unless you have multiple grade schools, then it could possibly shift. So then you have the PLC action plan. Let's say this is my third grade math teachers. Here's their goal. My third grade math teachers, I'm going to take it down another step, down to the teacher action plans. If I have 12 third grade math teachers, I may have 4 that are trying one particular action, 4 that are trying another particular action, and 4 that are trying another particular action to increase proficiency across math in the third grade. Again, go slow to go far, right? Go slow to go far. We're looking for things to scale, actions to scale across the system to improve. This is what you were asking a few minutes ago. This is our improvement cycle. We start in June and July. School and district leadership analyze the current performance on our current scorecard. And then our board, I give an annual improvement update to our board in August. And that's when they adopt our district and school level scorecards. And then we start running PDSA cycles or Plan, Do, Study, Act cycles in September. Of all of those actions items that I included just a few minutes ago, on those PLC action plans and teacher action plans. We start running those PDSA cycles in September. We administer our first parent, student, and employee engagement survey in October. And then November is the first stoplight report. Okay? In November, there's a stoplight report or a stoplight meeting between me and the principals related to the scorecard. There's a stoplight report or meeting in between the principal and the PLCs around their PLC action plans. And then there's a stoplight report or meeting in between the principal and each individual teacher in every 45 days in our system. Okay? It produces alignment and continuity throughout our system, and it also validates the actions to make sure that we're doing them and doing them with fidelity. And you can see the process. We have a second 45-day check-in in February, a third 45-day check-in in May, and then the system starts over. I'm going to move quickly. I have a few other things to share. This is just our implementation timeline. We started this work in 21. You'll see a lot of the word refining, meaning that possibly wrong, definitely incomplete, as we continue to improve our improvement process across our system, and we will continue to do that work. So here are some challenges of the work. Capacity building is critical, but it takes time. It takes time. You're not going to save the world tomorrow. You're going to have some detractors in your system. Look for the early adopters and those that will get on board with you and on board with you quickly so that you can begin to scale the work. I don't know about y'all, but in the Oxford School District, this idea of the transactional mode of education was real. You come to school, you get up every day, the kid comes to first period, you teach first period, second period, you finish the day, you get up the next day, and you start the process over. We have to eliminate the transactional mode of education. And the way to do that is to take an improvement mindset approach, right? Because, and let me tell you, this is another quote from the book, Atomic Habits. He says, when you fall in love with the process rather than the product, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. Think about that. We put these goals out in front of everybody in our strategic plan and our scorecards. We get so caught up and laser focused on the goal that our employees think we have to wait to the end of the year to see the results to see if we can celebrate or not. It's the wrong approach. Remember, how do we change the system? We change the system by not focusing on the goals but the actions. Allow your people to be happy in the process because they're instituting actions that are making a difference. They don't have to wait to celebrate. They can celebrate the process every single day. Vulnerability is required, facing the hard truths. Possibly wrong, definitely incomplete, I've said. This is messy work. It is messy, messy work. It's not linear to my math friends. I'm a math teacher too. It's not linear. It's not linear. And then again, I remind you to go slow to go far. These are just some of the results, and I'm going to move quickly. Some of the results that we've had in the Oxford School District since implementing this process. Just look at the trends as far as our ELA, our math, science, and U.S. history results. We've still got a lot of work to do, but we are moving in the right direction. There's a 30-plus club, the number of kids in Oxford High School have 30 or higher on the ACT, our average ACT score, composite score, and I'm not going to go through all these because there's a lot. But I do want to show you this slide. These are our student surveys. This one is most impactful to me. On your student survey, employee engagement survey, staff members are asked, I have a clear understanding of my expectation as an employee. They're also asked, I have a clear understanding of the mission and goals of my organization. On a Likert scale of 1 to 5, look at those two scores. That score was not like that 2 and 3 years ago. The process of cascading the strategic plan through the scorecard process all the way down to the action plans leaves no doubt in a teacher's mind what is expected of them each and every day. They have a clear understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. And as a result of that, let me go back a slide. As a result of that, you can see the last survey we took in October, our overall mean for the district on our student employee engagement survey was 4.32. It's the highest we've had since we started the process. Our top box percentage is 54%, meaning that 54% of our employees answered 5 or strongly agree on the survey. Our employees are engaged, and this process is what's gotten us there. I do want to quickly close with this. You also have one other handout. Communication at all levels is also a very important part of the student work. It's one of the 9 principles. This particular principle sends this is the handout that they utilize when they have parent conferences at Oxford Early Childhood Center. What's on there? It's the school level scorecard. It drives conversations with parents inside of our system as well. Again, Net Promoter Scores, you can see we're obviously doing very well on our Net Promoter Scores. Our employees are very loyal, so are our students and our parents. And I'll end with this. Do something. And I mean that. Do something. The worst thing you can do is nothing. So do something. You know, I heard the analogy this morning about, I can't remember, it may have been Janet, it was talking about the rubber band, right? Talking about how far can we stretch our employees without breaking the rubber band, but we don't want it to be too loose. That's kind of how I see this graphic as well. Push your employees and yourself out of the comfort zone. Yes, there's going to be fear in this process, but you have to push them past it till you get to the learning zone, and then you see your system starting to grow.